It's been a really good day. And this is why I love my job.
Yeah.
Work with this executive in Munich to help him start his USA
Right,
operations.
right.
Tuesday or Wednesday, I had another HR person text me out of the blue, and I said, "How you doing?" And she said, "Doing great. How's your new job?" And she said, "I absolutely love it." She got, I believe, the biggest raise, both in dollars and percent, of any client ever.
Man, that's great.
Yep, I really like
Yeah.
is not these overwhelming successes, but people that are really down on their luck and things get turned around. So
Yeah.
we've had 2 ladies in Job Seekers in 2022
Mm-hmm.
join the group, and on a Zoom call were crying
Oh, goodness.
as they introduced themselves.
Yeah.
And they were just in such bad shape. And I'm like, holy smokes, that is a tough case.
Yeah, it is.
That is a tough
Yeah,
case.
it is.
When you tell me your story, had a good job in corporate America, but she's been out for 20 years, raising her family, and her husband was sick. Insurance didn't cover everything, and their slap broke. Exactly when we did the 12-month vision, when she told me who her target companies were, she got a job at one of her top 5 target companies.
Well, I would have to say that's one of the most powerful things that you've told me today, and that is that whole year ahead. Well, you've had a great year. Let's write it down. What did it look like? And that gives you that roadmap. So it's just so powerful. Yeah, well, I know you can.
That story is taking place today
Yeah.
with another lady who we don't know the end of this yet, but a couple or 3 weeks ago she was on and she was crying. And about an hour ago we posted her on LinkedIn. She's got a really good looking profile.
I'll bet she does.
And I like to get paid, don't get me wrong. But when you get one of those desperate cases, and things just come through in just the right way, that's what I live for.
That's what that's what it's all about. Yeah. Welcome to Connections. This is our video series where we introduce you to folks that we know that we think maybe you'd like to know. I'm Glenn Gould, and I'm with today one of my very close friends, somebody that I've known, 14 years now, I guess.
Afraid so, yes.
Somewhere close to that. Dave O'Farrell. Dave is with Atlanta's most effective career management company, O'Farrell Career Management. Dave, tell the folks a little bit about you and what you do so that I know you, but they don't.
Okay. Well, I've been in the career management business for a long time. And as we cross the calendar, I'm thinking about not admitting how long I've done this.
Well, you can tell.
So could we just limit it to about 22 or 3
there you
years
go, yeah.
instead?
Sure.
So I've had my own business here in Peachtree City since 2000, 2001. At that time, I was working with another consulting firm, and this was a little bit on the side.
Right.
And there were some things that happened in my life and with that company and with 9/11 and things like that, that everything just was kind of pointing in the direction, Dave, leave corporate America and go full-fledged into your own business.
Sure.
So that's what I did.
And, you mentioned Peachtree City, but I'm aware that you have clients throughout the country, maybe internationally even?
I talked to a gentleman in Munich this morning.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
that was for a recruiting assignment.
Right.
He's the CEO of a small company. They have an outpost here in South Metro Atlanta, a virtual outpost, and they want me to help them recruit their first 2 employees in the USA.
Well, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And so how did you end up getting into career management?
It's kind of a God-ordained thing. I was in corporate America with a capital C.
Yeah.
And Southeastern district managers, 6 or 7 Southeastern states, depending on which year it was, and in the heavy construction industry.
Oh, okay.
The winds of change came along, and we had some downsizings, and I was, we like to say, liberated. Okay.
That's right, yeah.
And so I was liberated, and my wife, now my former wife, worked at a global career management firm.
Okay.
I was blessed to get that service pro bono, and I fell in love with it. I was one of the youngest clients in the group, one of the least compensated clients, and yet they kept picking me to lead the client focus groups. And I just loved interacting with other executives and things like that.
Well,
and so that's how I got introduced to career management on a personal level. And then after a while, they said, hey, we'd like to bring you on board as a consultant. So that's how I got started, worked there 7 years, and then ended up leaving and going with that consulting firm I mentioned. traveled around the country teaching consultative selling skills. And in the post 9/11 economy, they had the class to call all of the consultants in North America. There's about 36 of us, and say, we don't see as much work in the windshield as we see in the rearview mirror.
Right.
We know all of you guys have a side business. Before you have that slow realization that we're not sending you as much work, why don't you go ahead and ramp up your own business?
Well, that was really a good thing, because I know that in the heat of a crisis like that,
Yep.
the business might have thought of themselves first and
Yes.
not shared that, because they don't want to scare you away for the work they will have.
I know,
But
because then we could
that
have
was a
all
classy
left,
move.
and then they're like, why
Yeah.
did we tell them we don't have enough consultants
Yeah.
now?
Well, that's a classy move.
Yeah. So one of my buddies, also associated with the job seekers ministry at the time, said, hey, I'm looking for office space. You want to come with me? Another guy gave me a book. If you want to walk on water, you got to get out of the boat.
Yeah.
And there was one other book, which I'm not thinking of right now. And so I had like 5 things happen in a period of about 4 weeks where God gave me the confidence to start my own business.
Wow. Well, you mentioned job seekers, and that's how you and I met.
Yep.
I've been blessed to speak at job seekers since you've invited me.
4 times a year.
4 times a year for
14 years.
13, 14 years. So
Yeah.
it's been a lot of learning for me too, but it's been a blessing to me and my family. I always look forward to it. But tell everybody a little bit about your ministry when it comes to job seekers.
Yep. And a lot of times those kind of get conflated or mixed up or whatever you want to say. And even tonight, I'm going to be a panelist in an HR group, and they may say more about my ministry than my
Than your work.
than my
Yeah.
real business. So I did not start the ministry, but I came as a job seeker, and one of the guys that helped start the group, he said on Good Friday in the year 2000, he said he couldn't continue to lead the group on a weekly basis. He was CEO of a biotech firm, and he said that he was just going to have to lay that aside. And all the other leaders went like that and looked at me, and I was the newest, youngest member. But the next Friday, I was like the Hair Club for Men.
Yeah.
I was not only a participant, I was also the leader.
Well, and you've been doing it ever since.
Oh, yeah. And every Friday, 48 or 9 times a year for 22 years. Yeah.
Now, you don't do it all alone. You got some folks that help you. You call those
people like you.
Yeah, you call them
the ship's crew.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you've got a great group of volunteers that some of them are retired corporate folks, and I know there's even a lady that works in a local retail shop that helps.
Yep.
So you've got a good crew to help you, but the truth is, you're the show, and you are also the curriculum.
Yes.
And there is a curriculum. One of the things that I think that was kind of in the 13 years, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like in the past 13 years that it kind of really took total shape to where at least now you got your arms around it. You don't have to think up something new every single month or 3 months or 9 months. You've got a plan, and if you attend, you're going to go through this curriculum.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so tell a little bit about some of the things that people learn there, because I think it'd be valuable.
Yeah. So we've got a 6-month curriculum, and some of it's interviewing, some of it's networking, some of it's personal branding, and the whole gamut.
And tell them about hippos.
I'm teaching hippos tomorrow.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
See, that's why God works.
Hippos are high payoff activities.
Yeah.
And they don't know it yet, the new people, but we're going to hit them up with the hippo score.
Okay.
And it's a way of measuring, and I've talked about it with clients on the phone even today. It's a way of tracking your progress, because a job search is a lot like a real estate agent. If you sold 6 houses in a year, you had a pretty good year.
Right.
So you can't if you're a real estate agent, you can't come home every night, your spouse, did you sell a house today?
No.
No
again.
Come,
Yeah.
And you go through that for 30 to 45 times or so before they finally say yes.
Sure.
So did you get a job today? No, but I met with Glenn Gould. And here's what we talked about. And he gave me a couple of ideas for my job search. So it's a point keeping system.
And I will tell you, having been around the ministry as long as I have, it's interesting because you would think right now that there wouldn't be a whole lot of people there, and there are. And then you would think when there's a ton of job openings that there would be no one. And they're there. Yeah, it's kind of interesting because you just don't know who this week or this month is going through this. So if somebody locally, or not even locally, heck, you do it via Zoom right now still.
Yep.
So if somebody wanted to kind of participate, how would they find Job Seekers Peachtree City?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Stumped you.
Yeah. The best way, in my humble opinion, the best way to be go on my LinkedIn site and then find the Job Seekers group.
Okay, so you find Dave O'Farrell on LinkedIn, and you'll find the Job Seekers group there. Is there a website?
There is a website, jobseekersptc.org.
Okay.
Which I don't curate very much.
That's okay, but at least that'll get them in the right direction.
And it'll get us back over to
your LinkedIn.
Facebook. Yeah.
There you go. Okay. So LinkedIn, Facebook, the way that the truth is that's the way that most small organizations now are managing their website is through one of those channels. So it makes perfect sense. Tell me a little bit about how you ended up in Peachtree City. You're not from here, are you?
Born and raised in Metro Atlanta. They kicked me out 6 years. I came back. I hate to tell you that. I hate to tell you that, or anybody that's watching this, how long since I came back.
Yeah.
But
where were you born?
In Decatur.
Okay.
Decatur.
Lithonia area? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And then when I graduated college, I went to South Carolina a couple of years, went to Florida for 4 years. I ended up being one of the top salespeople in the company. So when my boss at the age of 68 retired, I was 28.
Oh, my goodness.
I replaced my boss.
Oh, my goodness.
So there were two guys that I was the boss of that were as old as my dad. They were not.
That was not good, yeah. Especially way back then, like you keep saying, right?
Yeah. And in spite of their disappointment, we ended up placing second out of 18 districts in the world. So that kind of put me on the map for that company. And
why'd you choose Peachtree City?
So my wife and I lived in Jonesboro.
Okay.
We had a child.
Yeah.
Her parents came down to stay with us for 8 or 10 weeks. And during that time, they house hunted in Peachtree City.
Nobody wants to drive from Jonesboro to Peachtree City.
We got tired of making trips. Yeah. And the school systems are better over here. So it wasn't long before we ended up in Peachtree City too. And what a blessing that's been.
I was going to say, you must like it because you've stayed.
Yeah.
Yeah. For folks who have never been to Peachtree City, what do you like about Peachtree City?
It's too big for you to say, well, everybody knows everybody.
Right.
But it's a medium-sized community, and the way that the city planners have developed this city with the lack of no tall signs in front of the gas stations and fast food restaurants, the cart pass and golf cars.
Right.
If you don't know.
100 miles of golf cart paths.
Yeah.
10,000 golf carts.
Yeah. And over at McIntosh High School,
there are probably 8,000 of them today.
They have about 300 golf car parking spaces.
Yeah.
Over there.
Yeah, you don't want to get caught when school's out because it takes a lot longer to get 300 golf carts out than it does 300 cars. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
But it's a neat little community. I always ask this just because I like to know, and I think people like to know. Is there a favorite restaurant you have? Either here or even in Atlanta?
You mean besides Subway?
I seem to go there a lot too, yeah.
Yeah, it's good, nutritious food. So, oh my goodness, a favorite restaurant. I eat at Georgia Shrimp a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good food, and it's also a half mile that way.
I was going to say,
not even that much.
Pretty close, yeah.
So when I have a new client, it's not uncommon, especially if it's a nice day, to take them over there, sit on the patio, enjoy the weather, and just get to know one another.
Yeah. Now I noticed that you've got a running award over there from a couple of years back. Not many. Are you still running, or the knees give out on you?
The knees are pretty much given out.
Yeah.
Walk, and if you got me going on that, I could talk about that for a while. But there's a point where I'm not sure God really designed us to run marathons.
Right.
You guys have.
Yeah, a little bit. We have.
But I'm a lifelong runner.
Yeah.
And now I guess I'm
rest of lifelong walker.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Now I do walk at 13 minutes per mile.
That is moving.
Yeah.
That is moving.
So I can get the heart rate up into the 150 range.
Yeah. So you're a power walker.
I'm embarrassed to say, yeah. I think
Yeah.
I look
Believe me,
while I'm walking.
I know what you. But you know what? Every time I'm in a big race, I watch those guys go past me and those ladies. They both pass me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's fast.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So I get the heart rate up. Go to the gym.
Yeah.
Try to eat right. I actually taught that at as a pre-dinner speaker at a meeting on Tuesday night.
I'll tell you what. Now you do a lot of speaking.
Yeah, you can cut this out if you want to. But one of the things, there's just way too much to teach on diet, rest, and exercise in a 25 or 30-minute talk. But I said, what would really make a visual impact on the audience? About 40 people. And in my research for this talk, I found out that about 1/3 of a bottle of ketchup is corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, and distilled vinegar. And distilled vinegar can be made out of corn. I know it can be made out of other things too. And it's almost all sugar. And so I bought a bottle of corn syrup. I emptied a bottle of ketchup at my house. And rinsed it out. And I said, tell me when to stop. And when I had that much corn syrup in there,
everybody's going, stop.
Stop. And it's that. There's stop. The bottle was 1/3 full. I looked at several experts and websites, and they were in the 30 to 35% range that it's corn syrup. Now, who would put a whole spoon of corn syrup in their coffee? Or what? But that's what's in a Coke. That's what's in the Frappuccinos that my client gave me.
Which you like.
Which I do like, but I don't drink them. I try to get my clients to drink. I
know you try to get us to. Well, that's amazing. I mean, it really is. So you do a lot of teaching and you do a lot of consulting. I mean, and so if you were to just take for a minute and say, somebody out there is a job seeker, or maybe better yet, let's not even do that. Because job seekers, they can find information through you pretty easily. But let's say that there's somebody out there who their significant other is a job seeker or their son or daughter is a job seeker. What advice would you give them to give the job seeker?
Well, I can go back to Tuesday night maybe.
Okay.
Because there was a gentleman and his wife in the audience. And I'd met the gentleman before we called, texted, and emailed. And they have a son who graduated from Georgia Tech, computer science major, had some good internships at places like Siemens, and now he's a master's candidate at UCLA.
Wow.
And we'll work virtually to get him ready to go. He'd like to possibly come back to Atlanta, but his dream job, and this is one of my big things, when I get a new client, one of the first homework assignment I send is, hey, imagine it's 12 months from now and you just had a year that exceeded all of your personal and professional expectations. Write a few paragraphs in the past tense and tell me what happened. His might say, I got a job in the renewable energy industry. It's in Denver with such and such a company. I'm in a high-rise apartment in downtown Denver or whatever it is.
Right.
And I got a cool roommate, or whatever it says.
Sure.
And that's the first piece of homework. Then we get more granular. But it's don't give up on your dreams. And I put a post on LinkedIn this week about Stetson Bennett. I am a lifelong Georgia Tech fan, okay? A long-suffering Georgia Tech fan. But that young man's won my admiration. And what I put in that post, because people all along said, you're too small, you're too light, short, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
He got cut. He went to a junior college. They were picking people like Justin Fields.
Yep.
I mean, who wouldn't pick Justin Fields
over
Stetson Bennett? And then when JT Daniels was injured, he came into the game and set a record. He threw 5 touchdown passes in
Right.
his first game where he was filling in for JT Daniels.
Yeah.
And you could say the rest is history, but even his junior year, it was still.
He
was
still had to
worried
fight
about
for the
getting-
job. Yeah.
Yeah.
The jury.
Yeah.
Heck, until even after winning the national championship, I remember
The first
some of
time. Yeah.
of some of the commentators saying, well, that was,
He was surrounded by a
great
great
for him,
team.
but he's, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what I tell college students is not just what do you want to be when you grow up, but what problems do you want to solve?
Well, that's a good one.
And then that starts your career trajectory. I will soon speak for my 8th year to the students at Georgia Tech.
Wow.
I think it was my 2nd year. I was in this big lecture hall, the AT&T auditorium, and trying to get to know the people as they were coming in. And I'm like, hey, I'm Dave. What's your major? What year are you in?
Mm-hmm.
And then what problems do you want to solve? And this one guy said, I'm a computer science major.
Right.
And I'm like, what problem do you want to solve? He said, I want to help solve cancer.
There you go.
Or cure. And I'm like, you're data science. And he said, yeah, big data analysis. Yeah. And so, he wants to look at, cohort groups of thousands and thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people and say, what do all these people have in common?
Right.
Why are these people getting this type of cancer? And big data can do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like, yeah. So last year when I was at Georgia Tech, one of the students that I met is a young lady named Katie. She's a biomedical engineer. And I'm like, well, what problems do you want to solve? And she says, well, I want to reduce our dependency on drugs, and I want to make like organs safer. And at that exact time, she was testing heart valves.
Man.
I'm like, how old are you?
Yeah. So for all of those who think there's no hope for the next generation, Dave's got evidence that maybe it is. There is some hope, and that sounds great. So, Dave, obviously we could talk forever, and this has been great for me because I've known you all these years, and there's so many things I didn't know that I learned today. But really, at the end of the day, what we want to do is we want to help somebody out there today. We want to solve a problem, and that is, if somebody is either seeking a job or knows someone who's seeking a job, they ought to get in touch with Dave O'Farrell. How would they do that?
Yep. So best way is by text or email.
Okay.
Or through LinkedIn. A lot of people contact me through LinkedIn.
So is your LinkedIn/Dave O'Farrell or
Dave M. O'Farrell?
Dave M. O'Farrell. Okay.
Yep. And you can't miss this. You can't miss this space.
There you go.
Right here.
Well, that's probably the best way to reach you because I do know this. You are a master at LinkedIn too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if somebody needs some help with LinkedIn, you do that too, right? If it's career oriented.
So probably about the time you were pulling into my parking lot, I was on with a client in Noonan, and we were putting the finishing touches on his company page.
Okay.
There's 2 things about that impact this story. One is he set an O'Farrell career management record a few weeks ago.
Okay.
We posted him on LinkedIn the week before we posted him on LinkedIn. He already had a page.
Right.
It wasn't working for him. The week before we posted him, he had 1 contact from a recruiter. We posted him on a Thursday. I talked to him on my weekly check-in meeting on Monday. I said, how's it going? He said, I've got a call from a bunch of recruiters. I said, how many? He said, I don't know. I said, well, guess. And he said, at least 20.
Wow.
And then later that day, he sent me a screenshot because while we were talking for our 30 minutes, he was getting calls from recruiters. So he sent me a screenshot from 9:37 in the morning to 3:01 in the afternoon. He got 13 calls from recruiters.
My goodness. No, that is what we're talking about when we say Atlanta's most effective career management firm. Well, Dave, thanks for your time today. Once again, if you want to get a hold of Dave O'Farrell, it's LinkedIn.com/Dave M. O'Farrell.
Bless you.
There you go. Absolutely. I didn't sneeze, but it felt like it. But thanks so much for sharing with us today, and look forward to seeing you again as soon as I'm speaking to job seekers again.
Okay,
today, we enjoyed learning a lot about you, and if somebody wants to get in touch with you, obviously they can go to linkedin.com/in/Dave M. O'Farrell.
Yep.
I'm Glenn Gould. This has been Connections. Thanks so much for watching. Bye now.